everyone. Hey everyone, happy Sunday. It's your girl Michelle, 5-Star Conversations in the Sun City, and where we are here to amplify the importance of radical self-care, healthcare in these times, and why learning, growing, choosing our healthiest self is going to aid us and guide us into being able to create the world that we want to live. We can't have it both ways. We can't be lazy and lead. We can't. I literally hate to break the news to you, but it's true. And the problem is that for so long, so many people, we see people having got away with that. But here's what's true. The people at the tippy top, the people running things, they're usually very healthy until they're not. You know what I mean? So we could look at, let's say, Elon Musk. We could look at Elon Musk, and he is not the most, he might be healthier now. I don't know. But for a while there, he was looking like one of his Cybertrucks. You know what I mean? And I'm not even no shade. You know what I mean? But he was on, I think, ketamine. I don't know. He was on drugs. I mean, it was clear, right? But he didn't start out like that. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. Like even child stars, people don't realize that, the ones that end up all cracked out on drugs, they didn't get to that place by being cracked out and on drugs. They got to that place because at a time they were very disciplined, either because of their own volition or because their parents made them. And I think a lot of that is overlooked. Something got them there. Very seldom, and why am I yelling? Very seldom, and I think it's more prevalent, and more prone to happening now with the creator economy, that very seldom do people become blow up in the world while they're actively falling apart, while they're actively in drug addiction and drug abuse. The people that we see that are living that sex, drugs, and rock and roll life, or whatever the case may be, over the years, and even the greats that have died, whether directly or because they were snuffed out, let's just be honest, they all started extremely disciplined. And that's something that we miss. They started, even the big CEOs that are like, do the cold plunges in the day, you need to relax into it. They didn't start like that. They started incredibly intense. And I think that to me is important because we get to realize that we get to choose how we engage. And even if these people, whether it's a basketball player, hi, hello from Turkey, whether it's a basketball player, or sports, some sports icon, even if they, what I'm saying, like they got to the place they are because they stayed in the game. And but even the ones living the more relaxed life, it's because they stayed dedicated and focused for a very long time before they were able to incorporate some other rest and relaxation. Now, I don't believe in 2026 that, running to burnout is the way to go. It's not. And maybe not necessarily ever really was the way to go, but it's too much going on in the world right now to check out. That's my ultimate point. To finish what I was saying about Elon, this is kind of a stream of consciousness too. I'm really just yapping. But yesterday, And this is for all my 5 stars. My 5 stars. What up, 5 stars? Put a 5 in the chat if you're a 5-star, because we are in this space. In this space, we are doing the internal work, the healing, so that we can lead 5-star rated companies. So we can have 5-star communities. So that's the conversations that we're having here. Please like and share with people that you know are really, really doing the work to lead and to make a change, and share this page with them, because that's what we're doing. And here I'm teaching you how to connect into your local community by showing you how I'm connecting into my local community. So make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. I'm talking to medical professionals here in El Paso, Texas. I'm talking to CEOs of companies, all different sorts of people who are leading in caring for the community. And that's who what we're building over here, is showing you how the everyday person in your town can go into, start getting involved and engaged in your community, and then ultimately become a community voice. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe. So this is quarter 2. We're coming up on the end of quarter 2. We're halfway into quarter 2, actually almost exactly today, of quarter 2 of 2026. And what I would like to let you all know is that you are allowed to dethorn or to weed. You're allowed to weed out the things that you do not need to be focused on for the rest of this year. Now's a great time to start. Now's a great time to reflect on, hey, what went great at the beginning of this year? What needs to be weeded out? Because that is extremely, extremely important in this space and time today, is for us to be honest with ourselves in terms of how we get to move. And so I'm on the interstate, so I'm not looking at the screen. So if anybody is speaking, hello. But I won't be engaging. I'll just be speaking at this time. And so now's the time to decide how we're going to show up the rest of the year, how you're going to show up for your business, how you're going to show up for your employees. Do you really care about your employees? Are you paying them on time? Are you investing as much as your knowledge into your employees so that they can get better, so that you can continue to grow, and so that they continue to develop? Are you developing leaders? Are you developing yourself? I'm at the developing myself stage, and I'm completely okay with that. I know that I get to be clear in my vision, and it's because my vision is something that's never quite happened yet before. And I can be clear, and I get to be clear in that. And nobody else is going to be able to provide that clarity for me. And I think, if you're a leader, or if you have a company and a business, and you're working with people, and you have employees, and your goal is to be impactful, especially in this space and time, you guys, like, now is not the time to check out. There's a lot going on in the world. USA meeting with China, the wars on wars. Like, this has always been happening. We've been seeing it more because of how connected we are on the internet, but we're also seeing how they're really trying to have a surveillance state across the entire globe. And the question you got to ask yourself is, to what end? Like, all these data centers for what? I haven't seen AI. I mean, and I use AI. I don't hate to say, but I don't think it's going to require 3 to 4 new data centers in the borderland alone. I think that maybe there's even more being built here. I don't think it's going to require that. So my question has to be, why are we giving our resources to technology? Literally, like, instead of us being able to have the water to drink. And we know that we're facing a global warming. So, I think right now, like as a resident, as a citizen of wherever you are, I'm in the borderland, so I'm going to speak to the borderland, but I'm not going to speak. I can't speak to anywhere else, but you should all be concerned about, and you should all feel responsible, concerned, and intentional about using your voice right where you live for whatever issues are going on. We know things are happening on a global scale, but what are we doing in our own communities to show up and say, this is how we feel about this, and we're going to really be the people, we're going to protect our land like it's our family, because it is. And I think we get to come from a good place with it, a good faith place. I don't think that being violently upset is necessarily helpful. I really don't. At the same time, being quiet isn't helpful either. I think right now what we get to do, as much as we are working on, chasing our dreams or, building a service to the community, we get to also be responsible for the laws of the land. And guess what? People at the top level are very involved in politics. Like, you really can't escape it. And you don't have to be loud and shout about it on your platforms, but you can quietly, you can call your, I think it's more effective to call your representative and go to your representative's meetings and speak and talk and go to the meetings. Here in the borderland, there's a lot of meetings about the data centers and things. And in the beginning, I went to several. I haven't these past few months, but I'm going to get back involved. But I also feel like self-care is very important too. And I got a little off track. I don't want to say I got off track, but one of the things when you are successful and you begin to start making moves and making a voice for yourself is that people want you to be a part of their thing a lot. And that's fine, and that's beautiful, and I respect it. And you ought to be grateful that people are looking for you and checking for you and thinking about you. That's a beautiful sign. And you can't fulfill everybody's hopes and wishes there. You know what I mean? You're not going to be able to participate in everybody's thing, and everybody's thing can be great. But it's very important that you practice radical self-care and that you are of sound mind, body, spirit, soul, and money to what your mission is. And that requires a lot of saying no so that you can show up where you need to be and have the energy to be present and to affect change if possible. I really do believe that. And so I think that the reason I bring this up here is that it's halfway through quarter two. I want you to ask yourself where you're at. Take your temperature. Ask yourself if you feel empowered or do you feel overwhelmed. And please understand that feeling overwhelmed is a part of the process, but the beautiful part of the most beautiful part of that process is that you get to recognize that all you have to do is stand still. When you're not stretched so thin that you're running here, running there. A lot of times when you are filling your time up with things to do, it's because you're not clear in what your mission is. And that's what I'm learning. So here I'm sharing my path. I'm sharing my experiences and my knowledge as someone who's literally had to start all the way over. And it's taken me a long time, guys. I got a sinus infection last week and it's still not cleared out. But it's taken me a long time. And that's okay. I'm okay with that, because I needed to get to the root of what was getting in the way of my discernment and in my trust of myself and my leadership. And so as we're in the middle of Q2, almost half the year's over already, I want you to think long term. That's what I'm learning to do. I'm literally learning to do this, and it's not easy. But what I have found, and if you stayed this long, you're about to get a gem. What I have found is that because I am holding my own space and holding also at the same time, holding space for other people's desire to, connect or collaborate. I'm holding space for them too, while I'm holding space for myself. Because what I've learned is that I don't need to rush and jump into things. That's what has gotten me in trouble this whole time in my life. And I don't even want to call it gotten me in trouble. It's just, I needed to do it for the time being that I was doing that. And now I get to not do that. I get to not jump into every opportunity that comes my way, because I'm much more clear on what I do want, what I don't want, what I want my service to look like, what I don't want service from, my service to the community to look like, the kinds of people I wanted to be in community with, the kinds of people that I'm not aligned with. And being able to get to that place and still love and still be loving and accepting and hopeful is a blessing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing and a gift, and it's not available to everybody. Not everybody has gotten to that place of being able to lead and themselves, and being able to sit with yourself long enough to allow time to collapse into of itself, and for your body to catch up with your mind's decision to put yourself first. It feels very scary. It can be a very scary experience. So anyways, I just wanted to, I was going to say, is that yesterday I went to a pitch deck clinic and got my whole life read. They were like, you are so unclear and you are so not ready. And I'm like, thank you for saying that, because you're right. Then I went to a pitch, a public speaking seminar with Teslin Figueroa. She is on CNN. She goes to Fox News, and she debates Fox News anchors. She debates their talking points against them and is clean with it. And so I went to her live class yesterday, and I took notes, copious notes. And then she had some of us come up to stage to actually practice. And I was so nervous, but I did it. And she was like, perfection. She was like, that was perfection. Now, granted, I didn't go first. If I would have went first, it wouldn't have been perfection. I wasn't going to go at first because I was like, I don't really have a solid thing to say. And I said, yes, you do, Michelle. You got to push yourself. You got to push yourself into uncomfortable spaces. And I did it. And by the time it got to me and I learned and thought about it and really took the time to formulate the sentence that she, the argument that she was helping us learn how to frame when we communicate. By the time I got there, she was like, perfection. Did you see how did that? And she was like, did you see how she did that? And that made me feel good. Because, Tesla is a beast. I was almost disappointed I didn't get any feedback. But that's just because that's like a little bit of a narcissistic trait of me. You know what I mean? Or just that toxic trait of if I would have gotten feedback, then I would have felt like, I didn't do good enough. But the fact that she was like perfection, I almost was like, is she just saying that? But that's also like the people pleaser. That's also like the imposter a little bit, but you can't discover these things about yourself. You don't put yourself in uncomfortable positions. So anyways, please follow me, like, and share, rewatch this, watch my channel. I'm going to show you how to get into your community and get connected with the healthcare professionals, the doctors, the lawyers. Let's get our community together. And it starts with you just knowing them and knowing how to speak to them and to communicate with them. And that's what this channel is for. Learning how to maneuver through the healthcare system because we're all going to have to face it one day, and you may as well face it while you're healthy. First of all, to keep yourself as healthy as you can, and also to be there for your family. But then also when the time comes when inevitably somebody's going to need it, you already have your team. You already know who you want to connect in with. You already know who you trust. You already have someone who knows you and cares about what they know about you. So anyways, bless you. Follow me, follow me, follow me. Much love and blessings. And thank you all. Gotta go. Peace. Actually, this isn't going to work.